Welcome back to Problematic Pop Culture with me, your host and researcher, Jules Castillo, and our new host, who happens to also be a Sagittarius, Evan from High Media. So right now we're gonna start off with we're gonna shit talk Joe Coy, talking about his monologue, where he basically heavily insults Greta Gerwig as a director and heavily insults Taylor Swift for her relationship with what's the fucking football player's name?
Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce. And we're going to talk about why Joe Coy is the reason that, like, he's one of the many reasons why the Barbie movie needed to be made. Now, Evan has not seen the monologue. I'm going to have him react to it real quick. Evan, feel free to cringe as hard as you can because it is that bad. Like, I feel like even though you haven't seen the movie yet, you're going to know he hasn't even seen a proper trailer.
Yeah,
By the way,
I've
he
seen
talks
clips.
about
I've
that.
I've seen clips of the Barbie movie, and I've gotten like the message of it, and it was all over my. I'm a dirtbag lefty, so like of course it was all over my. I'm a third wave feminist, so it's like there's of course shit is all over my like for you page in the week it came out. So like I've got
Mm,
I don't know the exact story beats because I try to stay unspoiler free, but I got the gist of the message by and
yeah.
large, at least as far as Barbie's concerned in this. So this is go
Essentially,
ahead. Sorry.
Barbie she lives in Barbie world, and she ends up experiencing essentially depression, and she doesn't know why, and it's the girl playing with her, and I don't want to spoil too much, but she does go into the real world and she experiences patriarchy firsthand, never being exposed to it. And Barbie is this great um character that we can project ourselves onto as women and femmes. And it's weird because when you watch Barbie deal with day-to-day things of patriarchy, you have this overwhelming need to protect her and this overwhelming recognition of how wrong it is with things you've just accepted as normal. So Joe Coy, unironically, you're gonna watch it. It's so bad.
All right, let's get started. Uh, I'm gonna swap just things around just a tiny bit, so I'm able to show the I'm gonna just scroll down a little bit just so people are able to see the video itself.
By the
Competing
way,
for
problematic pop
cinematic
culture listeners on Spotify, you can come on
Oppenheimer.
our Discord and see us live record.
Yes. And usually Jules and I, or I, like regardless, will you usually say it when we're going to be recording beforehand. Ballpark.
And Barbie are competing for cinematic box office achievement. Oppenheimer is based on a 721-page Pulitzer Prize-winning book about the Manhattan Project. And Barbie is on a plastic doll with big boobies. I watched Barbie. I loved it. I really did love it. I don't want you guys to think that I'm a creep, but it was kind of weird being attracted to a plastic doll. It's just something about your eyes, Ryan. The whole show, just close your eyes, Ryan. Everyone just looks into your eyes. And Margot, it's not always about you. Some I wrote, some other people wrote. Robert De Niro's here. Yo, I got the gig 10 days ago. You want a perfect monologue? Yo, shut up. You're kidding me, right? Slow down. I wrote some of these, and they're the ones you're laughing at. Look, Oppenheimer and Barbie are competing for...
Yeah, and then he proceeds, look up Joe Coy, Taylor Swift, at Golden Globes.
Joe Coy, Taylor Swift.
Oh, my mom listens to this episode because she was like, what happened at the Golden Globes with Joe Coy and Taylor Swift? Like, what did he say?
As you know, we came on after a football doubleheader. The big difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL, on the Golden Globes, we have fewer camera shots of Taylor Swift. I swear. There's just more to go to here. Sorry about that. As you know, we came on...
Okay. So couple points. I'm going to start with like the I'm going to I'm going to be not mean, then I'm going to be a little mean, then I'm going to be very mean. So we're just going to start. First of all, I to fake giving the benefit of the doubt, not even because like I care about Joe Coy here, but I also hate the Golden Globes. This is the state of comic that the Golden Globes can get now. Is that how, like, that is how irrelevant, you know, traditional Hollywood has gotten.
What's crazy too is like he's breaking so many rules of comedy too, because it's like he's like, I had 10 days to prepare this. What do you fucking expect? It's like that you don't like it's not how you make fun of the audience. Like, aren't you, isn't it like a rule of comedy to like be able to make fun of yourself, not come off like a whiny little bitch because like
You're
your
supposed
jokes aren't landing.
you're supposed to be able to make fun of yourself and not and you're supposed to be able to make fun of yourself and not yes, not come off as whiny, but also not come off as like, you know, a bitch either, you know. And
And when Ryan Gosling was giving him the death stare, he's like, "Oh, Ryan Gosling." He's like,
I'm
"Margot
just
Robbie, it's not always about you." It's like, why do you have to undercut the co-star because you can't handle another man like calling you out silently for your misogyny? Like it, like don't dig deeper into your misogyny by then just attacking his female co-star who didn't
yeah.
even look at you.
Otherwise, I think Margot Robbie needs to, you know, bring back the spirit of Joy from My Name Is Earl and teach Joe Coy a bit of a lesson there, if I'm being honest. Because that's
So
where
what's
I
the
know Margot
meter?
Robbie from. Yeah, so it's like the meaner is like my brother in Christ. I have seen you exactly 3 times on a television. Like I've heard you talk. I saw you in one of, like, remember back in like 2011, 2012, 2013 when Netflix was just like dumping every fucking comedy special on the planet on their platform. They were
Yeah,
paying like like the lore
we're still
behind
doing
that.
that.
Yeah, they're still doing that, but not to the same extent. Like what they used to do is that they would literally just like hand comics. Hey, you want to put your special up on our platform? Sure, we'll do that. We'll give you 10 grand, whatever. And like the Tom Seguras, the Burt Kreischers of the world, and them and stuff. They get that they do that, and the influence of like those being on the platform and then people like coming to their shows was valuable. The problem is that people like a Tom Segura or a Burt Kreischer, they evolve as comedians. Bill Burr is a perfect example of this, right? Like these are
Yeah.
shit like Bill Burr is like woke compared to like many of the
I will
people in
I
his
will
field.
agree with that. Bill Burr, and I think the thing is that Bill Burr like takes criticism pretty well. Like, I mean, he doesn't take it lying down like a bitch, but like where I feel like other comics would just be like, "This is my style of comedy. Deal with it." You're right. I have seen Bill Burr evolve and just get funnier, and I definitely think one of the last comedy specials I saw some
I'm,
from
I
Bill
mean, I
Burr.
mean, I mean, when you're married to a demisexual black woman, I think that's kind of to be expected.
Well, and also like he wasn't that kind of dude. Like he definitely had like pretty sexist jokes in the very beginning, but they all had like a good humor about them. And he
Yeah.
also, um, I think there was one joke he had that I think by today's standards he probably would have been canceled for.
Hmm.
But it was a joke about Rihanna and saying like basically he was saying he's like, I just wonder what she said to him, not that she deserved it. She's like, but I just want to know if she was like, I'm fucking all your friends or something. Like he's like I just want to know what like why, or if he's just a psycho. And it was very insensitive, but the thing is now when he talks about, if he's going to talk about gender at all, there seems to be this like nuance he brings, especially after
Like
he had a daughter.
there's an intersectionality to it too. For like one of the things that he sorry,
But
I'm
he
sorry,
makes
continue.
fun of white people a lot more.
Oh yeah, like one of the like a lot of times when I hear him like making fun of women and shit, it's like he's dogging on white women. I'm just like,
Yeah, white women
Stop,
specifically.
stop, 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 stop being pissy. Sit your ass here and take your talking to with me.
Well, and also he's very much like I feel like his funniest jokes are his jokes where he can make fun of himself for his like rage issues because he admits that he has anger management issues
Yeah,
and like
but
um
yeah,
and his internal dialogue is funny to me, but he definitely, you're right, he has evolved where Joe Coy just hasn't evolved. He just has a bunch of Asian
he has
jokes that
not.
get old
It,
really fast.
And I want to be very clear because Amy, a friend of mine in chat, said Bill Burr has a joke about trans women in the UFC that's really hard to hear personally, but otherwise I do like him. But Burr, Segura, and Kreischer are so far from woke, it's not even funny. I want to be clear that I said like Burr is the wokest among that crowd. Personally,
like among the white comic crowd,
white male comic crowd, specifically like specifically the Joe Rogan type of orbiters in that regard. And even
also
then, Burr's yeah.
Oh, sorry. But also like the people who haven't been like canceled yet, because um I think another problem with comics is that a lot of comics I see are getting so much more misogynistic because they see female comics, their counterparts, doing well. Lady comics are doing the best they've ever been.
Yeah.
And they seem bitter.
No, it's because the type of men that laugh at a woman dumb joke and that's the punchline are like, there's less now than there were like 20 years ago. I'm not like the misogyny is obviously still there, but like,
well, it's like your audience has to be like 19-year-old boys and under if that's going to be your main humor like go-to.
Because that's the demographic that's into comedy. That's the demographic that's really into comedy. I was super into stand-up comedy when I was in middle and high school, but then like I grew up and I'm like, you know, I got more nuance. I learned more about the world, and you know, it's ugh. But
the problem is that they're angry that misogyny isn't profitable anymore because 19-year-olds and under can't buy tickets to your show. That's where you make your real money.
Yeah, like in the comics, and even old comics that like, you know, do well, even today, even old stand-up specials that do well. Like there are, you know, comedians that aren't misogynistic whose stand-up still holds up, like George Carlin. You have people who are kind of, you know, half and half on that shit, like, you know, say a Ron White or 1990s Dave Chappelle.
What's the mean about Joe Coy? Honestly, my mean is
the mean is
embarrassing. Like,
it is embarrassing. Like the mean here is like, you are a washed ass comic who hasn't had who's only three because we got sidetracked. I'm so sorry. The mean here is like my three times I've seen him on like television is when I'm 13 years old browsing Netflix. Only one special. Netflix only ever wanted to buy one special from this motherfucker. And they buy everything. Second, I saw him have a feature on a single episode of Mr. Iglesias, the Gabriel Iglesias sitcom, which by all means I thought was pretty good. And lastly, a washed up mid-award show that has had floundering ratings for the last decade because nobody gives a shit. I would wager more people tuned into the Game Awards this year than they did the Golden Globes.
I would wager more people tuned into like the Steamies or whatever, but like by H3.
Say what?
The Steamies or Streamies or whatever by H3.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not a huge. The reason I like the Game Awards a little bit more because like it's kind of like talking about the industry and stuff, and like you get a lot of previews for games and that. The Streamies I'm sure are huge, but they're not for me because I only watch like a handful of streamers, unfortunately, so I can't really speak.
It's like that. YouTubers too, and like they also gave an award to Colleen Ballinger for like biggest creep on the internet. It was so fucking funny.
I did not know they did that. That's so good.
It's not the Streamies. It's like the Steamies.
Toxic Gossip Train. But yeah, no, it's like my thing is that like the meanest thing I can say about here is that the fact that his presence here at the Golden Globes at all is an insult to his ability and career as a comic, first of all. And the second thing is like the fact like this is the most polite room on the planet of like gentle laughter that's being polite just for like for comedic effect and stuff, just because like everybody's got to look like they're having a good time.
Yeah.
How do you bomb in that room? The only way you bomb in that room is if you are like even I'll let you dog on him for his his dipshit misogyny and weak male fortitude, because I don't you don't need a guy that looks like me for that shit. But what I will say is that as like a professional comic and as like just a person, like it's this is just such an obvious display of failure in your chosen profession that it's pathetic.
Yeah. I think what really hurt me about it is because, like, when I saw it online because I don't watch the Golden Globes because I'm not
No,
40
who the fuck?
yet.
Who the fuck?
No offense
I don't.
to any people.
I don't collect a social security check. I'm not watching the Golden Globes.
So, like, when I first saw it, I just saw all these comments quoting the monologue from America Ferrera, where she's like, "You are so smart and so pretty," and she's like, "And it hurts that you don't believe you are." And it's literally because, like, when he's just like, "Oh, on a plastic doll with big boobies," the whole point of the movie was to humanize Barbie, to humanize womanhood, to
Yep.
humanize women. So when you dumb it down to something like that trivial and that misogynistic, that's why Greta Gerwig just looked like it's like it's such an insult to Greta Gerwig as a director, especially with Greta Gerwig is the first female director to like break the box office. Like Greta Gerwig like broke records. Like she's a cinematic genius, and the movie is beautiful. It is
Mhm.
a, and it's also this idea that anything effeminate or anything that centers women, because the way he talks about Oppenheimer is like this Pulitzer Prize winning novel and blah 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 blah, and it's like okay cool, but we know what happens. Like bomb goes big boom, and, like it's and also like Oppenheimer. I understand that like it does its best to inspire nuance of like what have I done? I am the destroyer of worlds, but it's still kind of glorifying the idea of nuclear weapons, which is wrong. Like
I mean,
we
it's
don't want to
exists.
talk about that.
I mean, I can't speak on that note from the movie because I haven't seen it, but I will concede that at the end of the day, the movie's existence itself is a kind of glorification of it. I don't think. I mean, I don't think like the Japanese public being kind of upset at the whole Barbenheimer phenomenon was like war. I mean, I guess they can be
Well,
upset
what was
about it,
funny was Japan.
but
They made like 9/11 memes, and like they don't realize Americans love 9/11 memes.
yeah,
So
we think it's
funny.
and also South Korea is look over there like it's with like that fucking picture of like that dude with like smoking a cigarette wide eyed like you motherfuckers. It's like
But also, it's this idea that anything that is centering men and like masculine history is super important. And then, but anything that is effeminate, anything that is centering women, anything that is unabashedly not masculine must be insulted, must be deemed unimportant, must be deemed weaker or lesser than. And it's like he couldn't even give the respect to the Barbie movie to sit down and watch it before giving this monologue. And then he just blames it on that his joke writers made it for him. And it's like, okay, so are you really even a comic if you say that the entire thing was just joke writers?
yeah,
Like, I understand that
like
comics have joke
I
writers,
understand
but like,
I understand and I also understand you got the shit 10 days ago too, but like you as a comic should have been able to look at these jokes that they wrote and you're like take it back. This is going to bomb. I will not go up there and say this.
one second, we gotta pause real quick. Can you pause the recording?
Yeah, sure. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. Both me and Jules had to take care of some stuff. Continue where you left off.
Yeah, but in closing, I think what Joe Coy is highlighting and what a lot of people are doing on TikTok, quoting America Ferrera's monologue, is that Joe Coy has shown us why the Barbie movie needed to be made because anything that is feminine or anything that centers women, it's this kind of burn the witch attitude where anything that is traditionally male we always praise. And that's what's really threatening to like patriarchy, misogynistic men is this idea that something that centers women can be successful. Because the idea of centering women and decentering men is very, very upsetting. And it also highlights this other thing too that we'll probably talk about in the Red Rundown just a bit. So in St. Paul, Minnesota, there was the first all women of color city council,
I saw
and
that video. That was awesome.
yeah, and she was talking about how these 170 years, these mostly all male, all white institutions are suddenly sharply concerned about representation when they aren't centered.
Yeah.
And that's honestly what Joe Coy is. And Joe Coy, it's like, shame on you, dude. Like, be better. Like, at least watch the movie you're talking about and at least, like, be funny. It wasn't funny. It wasn't just that it was misogynistic, it's that it was cringe. Like,
It was
peak
cringe.
cringe.
Like, you saw my face. I was
Yeah, you
just
were
like,
like,
that ain't it, dog. That ain't it. That is not it.
your brain just went brrr.
I was fighting to not disassociate in that moment because it just hurt to hear.
It was that bad.
It was
And
terrible.
then, but how much time is that now for our first problematic pop culture segment together?
20 minutes and about 40 seconds.
Anything else that you've noticed in like pop culture that's been problematic?
Oh, I don't know. The fetishistic obsession with Gypsy Rose, because I know that you wanted to talk about that yourself, but I care about it too, because my entire thing about this, here's the thing. Gypsy Rose is like one of those things. I heard about this story like 6 years ago for the first time, and I'm like, damn, she shouldn't be in prison, but I hope when she gets out, she's able to live a happy and full life. And then, like, a few months before she's about to get out, everybody's talking about her again, and I'm just thinking, like, in the back of my man, I'm happy she's going to get out. I hope she's able to live a happy and full life. And then, like, a month and a half ago, people start getting weird. Now, make no mistake, more power to her for defending her, like, for like people talking shit on her husband and shit.
I saw that the dick is fire. I'm like, Gypsy.
I'm just like, hey, listen, like, you know, frumpy boys be throwing it down. I'm a frumpy boy. I'd be like, that's how it be. But
it's also like, you're crazy for insulting Gypsy Rose on, like, Gypsy Rose has more street cred than any of us, and like, but I think Gypsy, or I do think it's weird to fetishize her because, like, I think
like,
it's weird to fetishize people in general.
I saw creepers asking Gypsy OnlyFans when, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
She's
like,
married. Leave her alone.
And even if she, and even if, and here's the thing, there are married people that do that, and that's valid.
OF, that's fine.
But like, why?
Literally wearing like Kenda and stuff, just trying to have like a little wholesome life. Like, leave her be. But also, people were just like, "Oh, this is terrible that people are supporting her because then people are gonna go out and kill their mothers." And it's like, not if you don't torture your kids. Like, what?
I mean, I've known people who've wanted to kill their mama for less.
Yeah, but I mean, like, honestly, here's a hot take. I think it's weird when people bring up Gypsy Rose in conversation, and because a lot of people, there are people who just hate on her and just talk about her like she's this overwhelming manipulative villain, and like, two things can be true at once. She could have been like very manipulative at that time, but she was still the victim. Like, she was
Absolutely.
still being tortured.
Can I tell you something else gross that I kind of like have looked about? Like, a lot of people sympathizing with her ex-boyfriend who she got to kill her mom.
Oh yeah, and why though? He's like, fuck it, like, he was waiting for an excuse, honestly. Like, as somebody who is on the spectrum, I really think that his defense of having autism spectrum disorder was a weak ass defense, and it was very much like, you don't have, like, you knew it was wrong. You knew it was wrong. You had enough mental capacity to plan. You had enough mental capacity to not, have a meltdown while you're at the bus station, getting a ticket. Like, he was calculated. And also, like, he had a prior record for masturbating in a McDonald's. Like, he's not a stand-up citizen that was like roped into this by an evil woman. Like, get a grip. Like, no.
Absolutely. Now, do I think that he should have gone to prison for murdering, like, Gypsy Rose's mother? Like, can't be honest, not particularly. But honestly, I think it's probably for the, like, and that's just because, like, Gypsy Rose's mom was a fucking monster, and, like, but that's just my own personal opinion about it.
I'm glad she died screaming. I'll say that on the internet.
Hell yeah.
You don't do that to kids.
Absolutely. But I will say though, it's like seeing a lot of like his words and behavior and the things he said and done, like, it's probably for the best that like Gypsy like they were separate, that like that it was that she because it's like, I'll be honest with you, she even said it herself, like, he had the same controlling tendencies that her mother did. Like,
Yeah, and also he assaulted her right after the murder
I
because
didn't
he
know
was like,
that.
"Oh, I want." Yeah, he said he wanted to assault her mother's dead body. She said, "Please don't, just assault me instead."
Wow.
And then they're like, "Well, then she consented to the assault." And it's like, do you realize how fucked up that situation is for somebody to like
Ooh.
have a knife and be like, "I'm essaying somebody." Like, he's a monster.
Yeah,
Like,
he
I
is.
don't
Yeah,
understand people defending him.
yeah, I was sympathetic to him initially before I like heard more of like the things he said and stuff in his demeanor. Like, he apparently sent
It
an
does provide context.
yeah, like the content, like, because here's the thing, it's like Gypsy Rose's mother was such a monster that like I thought both of them, like, because I didn't know finer details, thought both of them deserved to get off. Now I just think Gypsy didn't deserve to have any prison time whatsoever. I
Yeah,
want
and
what yeah. Go ahead. Sorry,
well, and the
I'm
system
acting
just
listening.
failed her. The medical system failed her. CPS failed her. It's like, what else was she gonna do? Because people are like, why did she call the cops? It's like she did. People did call the cops. People were sus. Nothing happened. And the other issue I have with sympathy towards Nicholas Godejohn is the fact that because when people bring up the essay of Gypsy on the day of her mother's murder, they're like, well, he said that she said, oh yeah, like essay me then. He said it was consensual. It's like, okay, why would you believe him? Like, you can't consensually SA somebody. Like, what the fuck? Like, even the verbiage he uses is like really manipulative, and like he he very much like I think the only thing that he lacks in like mental capacity for is maybe just like the maturity to understand like
You
um
did a bad thing.
no, like he knows he did a bad thing, but then he was like, "Oh, but I'm gonna blame it on multiple personality disorder, and then I can get out of it." Like that's like you're dumb and watch too many movies to think that that
Yeah,
was actually a viable defense in court. But like that's just him being dumb. That's not him being like mentally deficient. Like there's a difference between somebody who's like a dumbass and somebody who's like not fit to stand trial. He was fit to stand trial,
yeah, 100%.
and
Like,
I think he deserved. He was up for the death penalty, but I don't think he deserved death because I
no,
don't believe in the death penalty.
no, I don't believe in, like like, I don't believe, like, I think the instances where I don't think that the state has any right to take, like, to determine whether or not somebody has the right to live or die.
Yeah.
That's
Unless
just me.
you're Netanyahu, then
Unless you're
if
meant,
we
yeah,
get
yeah, but like, God, here I just
oh,
and we'll get it.
I believe in bringing back the guillotine for like political tyrants.
Oh, 100%. I there's a
As
whole
far as citizens, no.
yeah, there's a whole like sub thing I want to talk about when we get into the next segment, but we're coming to the 28-minute mark if you want to start say any last words for PPC.
Uh, yeah, I think this is a good place to end it. I am unabashedly Team Gypsy. Please don't fetishize her though, because that's really gross.
Yep.
And I'm definitely gonna buy her book. But Joe Coy is cringe. Don't fetishize Gypsy, and the patriarchy. But this was a really fun episode. I'm glad to have you as our new host. And I just wanted to reiterate, I just think it's so funny that now for the third time the co-host has been a Sagittarius.
Yeah, but
So
this
that's a now
the
canon in problematic pop culture lore is that the co-host is always a Sagittarius.
how do you the last note I'll say on that is, how do you feel like what, like, I understand that I'm the first guy to be your co-host here, but is it worth it not having a racist pick me as your co-host instead?
Yeah. Dude, that's not I didn't say it. Dude, she stalks
I'll,
my
I'll
shit.
say, I'll say it. Fuck, like, listen, listen, you're like, you and I interacted because like I saw your stuff, I thought it was base, I liked your energy, and I reached out and started like
Mhm.
on like some like creator to creator shit, and we became friends that way. And
Yeah.
I have run in zero of your circles. I don't know really anybody else outside of like, you might have mentioned some people's names here and there. There's apparently another Evan who's who's a black dude. I mentioned someone
Black
named Barbs.
He's great.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't know anybody outside of that because like I'm from the Northeast. Like it's
Yeah.
literally just algorithmic stuff. So like my thing is I have zero emotional stake to talk mad shit on people who are sussy bakas. Absolutely not. I'm a messy bitch. I don't give a damn. But on that note, I'll let you close out. I'm sorry.
Do you know what she's called now? Like in my groups.
Chica bitch. I don't know what.
Chica, we call her Chica Bit, but yeah, Chica Girl is the main one.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, having a male co-host, like, there are moments where you are a dude, but like you are like you're not like because I criticize self-awareness because I was like, you can be like cripplingly self-aware, but if you don't address the issues you're
The
supposed to be
underlying
self-aware of,
issues. Yeah.
yeah, then it doesn't matter. But when I say you're self-aware, I don't mean it in a condescending way. I mean it
I
in
know.
that like when you say stuff like "I have no room to be talking looking like this," like like when talking about misogyny and stuff like that. So like, I think you're a very fun host, and you keep it as much as like we talk about serious subjects. I appreciate that you're actually able to be comedic relief because I think the last host struggled with that. And like Babs, I think you might have heard some episodes, but Babs, oh, pinnacle of comedic relief. Like it's a shame she's like not that into being like a social media creator, but I get it. It's not for everybody. And like
You have to
um
have a little bit of narcissism for this shit. Just a tiny bit. Not enough to be a problem, just a little bit.
I think she has plenty of narcissism for it. I think she just doesn't like the weird shit she was getting in her DMs. Like I had to take down her image from all the problematic pop culture stuff because she was getting a lot of weird, creepy shit in her DMs, and that made me really upset. And that was when we really decided to like retire her from the podcast because it was affecting her mental health. I can handle
like
like
the
rape
casual
and death
sexual
threats.
harassment. Yeah.
No, like rape and death threats and shit like that. Like I can handle that because
Yeah.
I don't care, but like for her, it was upsetting.
And I'm a man. I don't give a shit. You gonna say
Yo,
you gonna kill me? Find me, bitch.
vibe.
I own weapons.
Do men even get rape threats online?
No, not really. I think I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe drag queens and trans men might, but outside of
That'd be
that,
ironic if like a super conservative person committed a rape threat to like a trans person. Like
there's a reason why um
most popular porn
cu-
searches is like
it's
trans women.
it's like trans women and cuckoldry and shit in conservative states, but that's neither here nor there. We keep trying to close this segment out so
Yeah,
we can move
let's
on to
close
the
it
next
off
one.
now. Patriarchy is extremely homoerotic for some reason. Bye. See you guys next time.
Yep. Wanted to have enough clearance. So I recognize that I'm still recording for the video aspect of things because this is going to be the more laid back section of the podcast. I mean, still conversational, but definitely more impromptu. Like I'm picking up a news article here, a blue sky post here. Where the red rundown is very much going to be. Jules is not going to see most of the shit that I pull up, and it's very much going to be kind of the reverse. And we're just taking it where we're going. This is going to be more of the bully stream aspect of things where we
Holy
yeah. So like there's a few stories that have happened over the last also I wanted to have that gap, so like when you go back to edit the audio there's a pretty distinct gap in time at around the 30-minute mark for you to go, edit and stuff
Yeah.
for your
I'm
for
also
because
glad that you're like, let's upload Sunday because dude, do you remember how I was? I used to record and then edit that same night and upload it by morning. My mental health is way too good for that now.
Yeah, no, like it's like the dude who made Homestuck. He was literally like posting shit in like the most unhealthy way humanly possible. But here, let me pull this up. So a couple things. Do you want something?
Wait, do you
So
want to see my new keychain?
sure, I'd love to see a new keychain. Let's see it.
It's gummy bears.
Oh, that's cute. Would you, so just as a tea talks before we get back into the suck, Would you like to see a post that radiates positive masculinity?
I'm skeptical, but let's see. What is positive masculinity?
This man this is r/Ambien. So these are posts that this man is taking while on Ambien.
All on Ambien. My baby's home, my baby.
He's like, my wife is home, my wife. So it starts as, my wife is soft and I like her. My wife is visiting her mom and I miss her. My wife is home, my wife.
Can you send this to me? I want to send this to Jacob, my boyfriend.
Yeah.
I feel like this is something he would post.
Yeah, no, I'll absolutely send that to you, no problem.
That gives such himbo energy. My Wifiel is soft and I like her. I would hope you like her.
Yeah. I just thought, like, after like some pretty heavy conversation, I thought it might be nice to have like a tiny bit of a detox. Now to get back into the suck, this is something that happened. This is some reporting from the New York Times. Delivery food workers in New York City started a Facebook page to create a support network. It quickly told a bigger story. Bike riders, workers dying regularly on the job, many of them immigrants. Now the page memorizes the fallen.
Memorializes.
I'm sorry. I play Yu-Gi-Oh. I sacrifice my ability to read to play this game. Yeah, no, that's the whole meme. Like, literally have a T-shirt. I literally have a T-shirt on my merch store. And I'll pull it up and I'll show you. But like,
So do people just hit them and run?
I mean, it's fucking New York. Like, yeah, probably. You probably have some dickhead in a Rolls Royce who like digged it and just kept it moving because they suck.
Well, I think what this highlights to me is there was a particular TikToker that she does van life. I don't want to put her on blast. She posted this thing where she was like parking on the Mexican border and she's like, "Would you stay here?" And she like implied that it was like super dangerous or whatever. And they're like, "Ooh, the cartel's going to get you." It's like the way that we
Where? It's just
it was
hundreds of miles of nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like I was gonna send her a message, but and then people were just like, "Oh, the cartel is gonna kidnap you," and I was like, actually, more murder missing Indigenous women are kidnapped in areas like that. But and I was, and it's really insulting to the borderlands because like I live in the borderlands, but like I commented on like, please like a ways from your car, leave water and food if you can for migrants because they're people too. Like they're not
Yeah.
these like scary monsters like that are going to hurt you. They're just people looking for a better life. And I feel like a lot of times US really knows how to dehumanize immigrants to the point that we don't see them as people worthy of dignity, respect and life. And the fact that like New York is just like openly just like kills bike riding immigrants, it's crazy. And it's and it just speaks a lot to America to me and like even on top of that like the amount of consumerism cuz like these are delivery drivers. These are people that are performing a service for the public. These are people in the
Yeah.
service industry and they're not even given the dignity of feeling safe on the job. And it's just sad.
It is. Moving on from that to another piece of suck
Also, if you
news.
do a hit and run, that's a felony. You're a murderer. You're like a
Yeah,
terrible person. So now I don't want
yeah,
to go to New York.
yeah. Honestly, if you do, I'm of the mindset if you do go to New York, just don't go into like Brooklyn or Manhattan. Just like keep it to Queens, keep to the Bronx. Keep to Staten Island if you're really willing to go that fucking far. But yeah, that's kind of
I thought
my
Staten Island was shit. I don't know. I've only heard like themes on the internet.
yeah. But like the reason I say that is those are like the more working class areas. That's
Oh,
like,
okay. So you're gonna be like real people, not like
and more so you're gonna get like decent food, culture,
that's true.
and shit. Good food, good culture, good vibes, and good experiences happen where working class people thrive, not where rich people co-opt that shit. But
Yeah.
Moving on, I want to talk a little bit about the 215 bodies that were found in behind that fucking Mississippi jail. And I don't
Yep.
want to like we don't need to talk necessarily about. I'm not trying. I don't want to have a conversation necessarily about the racism involved with this, the corruptness of the system, the fact that cops killed and murdered people and buried them and nobody known about it, and blah 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 blah. We all know that this is a left wing podcast. You know this. I know this. This is not new information. What I want to talk about is criticizing the fucking media because in every because the thing that I in through all the coverage I've seen about this, not like like they says how did this happen, why did this happen, who did like when it's clear cops killed somebody and they didn't want to deal with the paperwork of justifying it, and so they just
Well,
dumped
and
the
the thing
body,
is that
and,
yeah,
and
well,
this
and
is
the
just
thing
a
is this
dumping ground.
happens
Sorry, go ahead.
this happens because cops are the real gang in the US.
Yeah,
Like, cops
100.
are the gang you should be afraid of. They cover up for each other. This was a multi-man operation. This was the entire police department had to have known about this. And
Yep.
the entire police department said nothing. And the reason they're not going to do any time is because cops like the ones who saw it and did nothing probably aren't going to do any time because cops, it's like in the Constitution that they can see a crime happening and choose not to do anything. Like, this is what
Actually,
happens when we
to
have a
be clear,
fascist
it's not in
state.
it's not even in the Constitution. It's a fucking court case by the Supreme Court. Some
Yeah.
poor fucker was getting stabbed in a New York subway back in the 90s, and he sued the two police officers that stood behind a door and watched and didn't help him as he was getting stabbed to death. And and it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said that police officers do not have a duty to saving your life and well-being when you're in danger.
Yeah, because they're not first responders. They're it's like they are first responders, but the thing is like we are living in a fascist police state. Like,
Yep.
the cops are meant to enforce the hierarchies at play, which are systemic patriarchy, capitalism, and now late stage
Like,
capitalism, early fascist America.
yeah.
Like, they're here to enforce the status quo. They're not here to save lives. They're not here to catch the bad guys. And like, because they are the bad guys. Like, the first sheriff's badge ever was that shape that you imagine when you imagine American sheriff's badge. It was for slave patrol.
Yeah, like this is not new information. Like,
Concept of policing is a heritage of racism.
yep. And the only way that the specifically like these this system can get solved is what the federal government has to do what they did to the LAPD, and they have
Well, and I
and that and they have to come in, they have to fire everybody has to reapply for their job, that like their leadership structure is going to be mandated, is not going to be by people who were originally in charge or who are working there currently. It's going to all be people from the federal government, and they're going to be having a stranglehold on these departments for at least a decade, rooting out fascist assholes. The
that's all of them.
I know it is, in like the only time that the federal government does that is when you have genuinely egregious shit like this that hits national news repeatedly. At the end of the day, and this is a controversial opinion on my part, and you're not gonna like me for this, and the reason I say this is because I'm so fucking dissolute. Like, if I hate cops.
Why would I hate you for that? I hate cops too.
I haven't gotten
Whole
to the
family hates
controversial.
cops.
I haven't gotten to the controversial bit. I am so fucking disillusioned with how poorly trained, poorly, just poor minded and shit these people are.
I would wait. Pin. I would argue though they're not poorly trained. They're trained by Israel. They're trained in oppression tactics. They're
Yeah,
trained to be fascist. So continue. Sorry, just wanted to point that out.
they're not. They don't.
The
They're
cops
too
don't
easy.
pay up.
They're too skittish. They're too willing to fucking kill a motherfucker for no fucking reason. They don't have rule. They don't have rule. They don't follow any type of rules of engagement of any sort. That I'm at the point where I'm like, fuck it. let the United States military handle the fucking policing. That's like, I know that's like a terrible fucking thing to happen, but like, how much fucking worse could it be compared to like there's already, like, they say, oh, but what about accountability? There's already no fucking accountability with police.
I think my thing is with the military is the military has the worst infrastructure when it comes to handling um like we're on Spotify. I can say sexual assault. They have the worst policies when it comes to sexual assault. Like Sharp, like their Sharp program, which is like anti-sexual violence, is a joke. It's an
Yeah,
absolute joke.
yeah.
And my concern is that if the military took over with the structure they have now, you would see an up spike in like we already have where women underreport, but even when they do report, a lot of have you seen like the documentary Victim Suspect?
I have not, but I do know that Fort Hood is the sexual assault capital for the army.
Yeah. So it's like if we have like the army running it like they run Fort Hood, like we're gonna be in the Handmaid's Tale so quick. Like that's my only
Yeah.
critique there. But I mean, we kind of already are living in the Handmaid's Tale. We're already living in the Hunger Games. We're at like
Hey,
dystopias.
I'm just like, at least if they kill a fucking civilian without going through like the stages of like that, and it's like there's like I feel like the army would be more likely to reprimand them for like like discharging of a firearm in situations where they could, because like if there's anything I know about the army, even as a civvy, is that they're fucking nitpicky when it comes to procedural bullshit and bloated paperwork and shit. So
Yeah,
like
that's true.
so it's like, if you you might like cops might be more inclined, like complete, like a fucking E2 might be more inclined to take a fucking ass whooping than having to sit in front of like two COs and justify why he had to shoot a 15-year-old kid.
I would be into martial law if it was like the ELZN, like the Zapatistas running everything, because the Zapatistas have a quota that 50% of their leadership has to be women.
Yeah.
Like
I
they have
I
to meet that quota.
I want to just say to the audience watching this, I know that this opinion that I have is bad, but like, I'm just so fucking desperate to have cops stop killing my countrymen that
Yeah.
I'm just like, maybe the military is better. They got better. They're better. They've got they're fucking they're like, they go through fucking trauma to be turned into tools that follow orders. Like,
Honestly, it's like this is why if you go far enough left, you get your guns back because like I used to be so like bleeding heart liberal, anti-gun, and then I saw how much I can't trust the government, and now
yeah,
I'm kind of the mindset that everybody should own a gun and like and know how to use it because the thing is that but here's the problem with say for example, I don't think if every American had a gun or even an assault rifle, they would be able to take on the US. Like the idea that we can have like a revolution is kind of bullshit because like the US has nukes. So,
no, absolutely. The
so
one thing we'd have to like do guerrilla. Like, the thing is that the U.S. can't be guerrilla warfare. They can't. Like the thing is, it's what
that's what they
Russia.
used in the American Revolution. They used hella guerrilla warfare.
Yeah, and we won, because here's the thing, like the United States is great at like winning a war, but they're terrible at
Vietnam would beg
they're,
to differ.
well, no, they're terrible at occupation.
Yeah, well,
Amy says your
Texas
eye
would beg to
makeup's great, by
differ.
the way.
Oh, thank you. Texas would beg to differ. I mean, I consider Texas an occupied land by the United States because this used to be Mexico. And like Texas, the what they don't tell you about the Mexican American War is that the
Hmm.
reason that Mexico said go fuck yourself when the US like wanted this land was because they wanted to make it into a slave state and Mexico abolished slavery immediately after they became independent.
Yeah, because of course it
Oh,
did.
like
Because
Mexico was like, we see your plan. Ew. Like, no.
yeah, it's at um oh, this sucks. You know, I used to like Justin Trudeau, like like back in the day, but like, it's just like, over the last few years, he just does more and more shit where I'm just like, go fuck yourself. Here, check this out.
I can't see your screen. It's still frozen on the food delivery workers.
Is it? Click it.
Click it. Okay, now it's good. Okay.
Canada is siding with Israel in its defense against allegations of genocide in the ongoing war in Gaza, with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau breaking the government's silence over the contentious case heard at the United Nations Court in The Hague. I just like
I
because
used to think
here's
Justin Trudeau was sexy. That's disappointing.
he might have been sexy for like 2012 maybe, but men can
Yeah, when I was like 13.
men can wear contours and shit now, and you know women are don't have to don't like can like don't
Wait, did
can
you say
have
men
different sex
can
whatever they want.
wear contours? Do you mean like
Or
men can contour like with their makeup?
yeah,
And wear contours like it's a piece of clothing and not your makeup.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm trying.
It's okay,
You
girly
know,
pop.
I don't know. But yeah, it's just I just hate people. I just I know that and I said this to you in messages like like pragmatically like if I had to choose pragmatically what I would want like the system I want to live in right now would be it would be something like you know like a social democracy with like much more restrictions on like corporate ownership of things, intense prioritization of like worker co-ops and things and maximum wages and shit like and the reason I say that is because like I very much want the world to move to like a socialist slash communist like state, but that's not going to happen overnight, and the entire world has to do it sort of in sequence a little bit. It can't just be like one country and everybody else is still neoliberal. And the reason and the reason but in I understand that like but like the reason like I am so like I'm so like fucking anti neolib now is even though they're the ones that at least in America it feels like they're the ones that like seem to like get fucking legislation passed at least
Mm,
it is because I fucking hate like I have such a burning like I may be like a sock dem, but I have like the burning hatred of fascism of like the reddest fucking coffee you'd ever meet. I fucking hate fascists, man. Like it's
here's my thing. My biggest problem with neolibs, especially white neolibs, is that um I feel like there's a lot of people that are specifically white Marxists that pose as Marxists but aren't really Marxists. And what I'm talking about here is like, so this is just gonna be like this is canon now, Chica Girl. One of the times that Chica Girl got really mad at me was I called out that she shouldn't call herself a communist if she doesn't vote.
yeah.
That's the bare fucking minimum. So many people will read like the cliff notes of, and I make this joke all the time, that people will read like the cliff notes of the Communist Manifesto or the cliff notes of Gramsci if they're like halfway cool, and they think they understand the movement, but they don't. And I can clock it real quick when I say, "Who did you vote for? Are you registered to vote? Like what?" What propositions are you voting for in the local election? Or they think that you only vote every 4 years. Like, no, election
One
day is
one of
every.
one of the most damaging things to the success of like leftism broadly in this country, regardless of what like that takes for you, is the anti-electoral nature of that a lot of leftists espout, and then
Oh,
they don't do they say they nominally say, oh, start community gardens, start doing work like worker co-ops, start doing decks, but like they don't actually like put any actual effort into doing that. The only thing that they write home about is don't vote. The two parties, both parties are the same. They're not, by the way. uh like no matter how much like the Vanguard boys and the tanky motherfuckers try to say they are, but like
well, and the
it
other problem too is that, say for example, when Roe v. Wade was overturned, I was at a protest, and it was pretty great. I ended up on the news. You guys can probably find it if you go to KTSM. And anti like I don't know. They phrased it really weird, but like you should have just said pro choice like activists instead of like anti like they worded it really weird. Um, so I went to this protest, ended up on the news. It was really fun. Anyways, we're all going around, and I said, um, Kavanaugh is a cunt. And then we were starting chanting Kavanaugh is a cunt. And so I start listing all the Supreme Court judges, and these people were staring at me blankly. Like, no, because I was like Cooney and like all this stuff. And I was like, dude, these are the people that took away your rights and you don't even know their names. Like you have to vote. Like and so many people like there was just this awkward moment of silence where me and my friend were saying, and yeah, and you got to go to the polls and everything, and the kids are like, but the parties suck, and it's like, okay, but you like, how can you say that you care about women's rights if you don't vote for them, you fucking dumbasses? Like, I hate that. Like, it's like they are
It's
the
like,
most they're the most egocentric, lazy, I'm gonna pop off. Most
go.
egocentric, lazy, performative motherfuckers I have ever met, and it's like, get out of my face. Like if you don't vote, I don't want to hear you talk about politics at all. Like, because
Yeah.
you're not for the cause if you're not doing something about it.
And 100%. It's like, and like people say, like, oh, what's the point of voting? Like, both parties are the same. 2016.
Somebody in my
Motherfucker.
comments got mad because I was like, by the way, I was right about Elizabeth Warren. Like, I clocked Bernie. Like, I didn't trust him. Like, and that's the thing too, is like I get critical of people even that were like super into Bernie. Like, I'm the kind of person who when I vote, I deep research like who I'm voting for. I deeply
Yeah.
care about. I was raised in a family that believes in the electoral process. And that is like, our kind of mantra, whatever you say, our like slogan when we go to the fucking polls is like cold day in hell before I vote for a Republican. And
Yeah.
I was suspicious of Bernie, and I was right to be suspicious because I voted
Actually,
for Elizabeth Warren.
I didn't hear about it. What was Bernie's fucking deal?
He's just a liar. Like, he's such a poser. Like, he said he had a D grading with the NRA when he's voted in favor of the NRA for the past like 60 years or however old the motherfucker is, and he supported Israel. Like, he's always supported Israel, and
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
I have Palestinian friends, and
Yeah.
so I was put on that a lot earlier than I guess most people. Like, I'm not gonna shit on anybody who didn't know about it until October 7th. Like, welcome, a little late to the party, but whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that the West doesn't we don't get enough coverage with Western media to have sympathy for the Middle East ever. So
Yeah.
I'll give people that. But Bernie, I didn't vote for him in the primaries because I just like looked at his voting history and he was a fucking liar. Like, he's a poser. He says he cares about all this shit, but he doesn't vote for it. And I voted for Elizabeth Warren because she prioritized the environment.
Yeah.
And
His continued voting for the NRA is the reason why he gets to keep his Senate seat. Because there's a huge contingent of rural Vermonters that wouldn't fucking vote for him if he was staunchly anti-gun.
yeah. And hold on, my boyfriend called me, and so I'm texting him. I'm recording. Go away. You'll live.
Yeah, my girlfriend actually FaceTimed me earlier during PPC, and I was just like, "I'll call you later, sweetheart." But my thing, because I know that she woke up fucking hungover after last night and she's miserable. But so I'll call and check on her after.
Hug me.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, and here we're gonna do another controversial take. I and again, like the
Controversial
question
take.
from
Hold up. I had a quick thought. Let me say it before it leaves my brain. Controversial
go.
take. If you don't vote, the revolution will not spare you.
Yep, exactly.
My boyfriend votes. I would not do certain things in bed for my boyfriend if he didn't vote. Like, that is the standard we need as like dirty red women. Like,
Yeah, honestly, I don't think, like, my girlfriend identifies as a communist herself, so like it's
because she's
it's the same.
smart.
Yeah, she is. And I mean, she's a lot fucking smarter than me. She just doesn't keep up with the politics the same way I do because it's depressing, and I've already like kind of rung that bell, like the one where we realize how shit everything is. Then I'm already here. I might as well keep up. It's hobby, I guess. I'm fucked. We're fucked, but whatever. But
Wait,
no,
what's your controversial take? I need to hear it. I need to know if it's as
um,
funny as like your boyfriend doesn't get a
oh,
blowjob if he doesn't vote.
this is
Standard.
not. This isn't funny. I I'm more concerned about domestic, like like domestic issues and shit. And even when I found out that Bernie was like a Zionist and shit, I was like, I don't know, man. It's like I really want fucking universal health care. I really want fucking cops to stop
Well, if you
killing
want universal
motherfuckers.
health care, then you can't support Zionists because we're funding universal health care in Israel.
I know, but
Got the shit though.
but I'm also
Amen.
but I'm also a fucking
Listen,
but I'm also like pro Ukraine because I fucking hate fascists and I therefore I hate Russia because they're a fucking fascist hell state. I think that's a virtuous and
honestly,
good thing to do.
I thought the memes saying that Kim Jong Un like stole our hearts or whatever because he was supporting Palestine. I thought that was kind of funny, but Kim Jong Un is a fucking like dictator, and that's awful.
Oh,
But that's the
oh,
thing
oh,
where
oh! Kim Jong Un literally has a gaggle of underage women that he keeps around him and rapes repeatedly.
oh like, but yeah, I think that's my other problem too. Is like a lot of people when you say you're communist, they're like, well, go to live in North Korea then, or go to
Nah, bitch, I
Russia.
live
But
here.
these aren't
Also,
communist
they're not
states. These are
communist.
fascist
There's
dictator states. Like these are oligarchies. Like they're not they're not
yeah, yeah.
communist.
China's a state capitalist, authoritarian hell state, and Russia is a late stage capitalism oligarchic fascist hell state. Like it's there's there
Yeah,
like
like you can't be gay in Russia.
what you can't be
Somebody
and
made
like
a
oh
funny point.
yeah
This Palestinian creator is somebody in Ireland was trying to get Ireland to not be as supportive as they are of Palestine because of like in Palestine like gay rights don't exist supposedly and like some Palestinian creator was kind of funny to me because she was like, so you can barely be gay in Ireland, like what like just because like just because some country doesn't have like the I guess is as progressive as you think your country is when it comes to gay rights doesn't mean that the gay people living there that are being genocided don't deserve to exist still.
yeah
Like it's like
yeah.
it's so counterintuitive.
I would move
But
to Ireland though.
well, you shouldn't because like there's a housing crisis there. I used to really want to move to Ireland, and then I found out that they have a housing crisis because of so many like not immigrants in the sense of like uh it's like English people. Like English people have occupied for so long that they've dominated the housing market and taken it away from people who actually live in Ireland. And
It's
also
it's a,
skinny
it's a, it's a,
houses.
it's the same shit that caused the potato famine. Landlording, landlording some just decommodify the shit. If you don't
Yeah.
live in the house or a direct relative or person that you are in financial responsibly for that also if somebody is living in that house that you own, you can't charge them rent. You go ahead, own a fuck ton of houses, but you can't charge rent for them. The idea of
Yeah,
charging
like
like
my dad, like it's kind of funny. I was telling you about this earlier, how my dad is like super supportive of me and like my dad is like my dad loves me more than anybody in the world. And that's not an insult to my mom. My mom loves me just as much. If not probably more just by grace of, me living in her for 9 months. That's a new level. My dad, so I told my abue, I was like, yeah, and I was like, I'm gonna pay like they're charging me this month. Like they're not charging me, but I offered to pay this much a month once my job like officially start like well, my job technically already started, but like once I get my first paycheck, I wanted to give them a certain amount of money a month because
yeah.
I don't know, the capitalism got that far into my brain that I felt that I do owe them something. And like I owe a contribution. And my grandma was like, absolutely not. She's like, where else are you gonna go? She's like, that's the most like capitalist shit ever. She's like, I thought you were a communist. And then she's like, your dad isn't your landlord. And then she called him. And then he was like, I never said she had to pay anything. And then he goes over to my mom. And then he was like, did you agree for Jules to pay us money? And then he's like, I'm fine. I'm not broke. I don't need that. And now he like cut it to like a fourth of what I was gonna pay them. And it's just like it's this concept of he's like, I'm not was like, just he's like, just pay your own way, like for whatever you need, like pay for your own stuff. He's like, but why would I become your landlord? Like when I built this house for you. Like I built this house
Yeah.
for my family. Like even the concept of charging your kids rent, my dad thinks is like fucking disgusting. And
Yeah.
he wouldn't consider himself a communist. He's not a communist. He's pretty much capitalist, but he does vote socialist because he knows that it's like right for the world. But
Yeah.
he's a baby boomer, he's a second wave feminist, and he thinks that it's like disgusting to charge your kids rent at any point because he's like family is family. But that's also just because like we're Mexicanos.
Man, I wish my parents were like that. Oh boy.
You should get Mexican parents.
I mean, I don't think this Caucasian belle can be on the wrong, sis.
I don't think this Caucasian. But how much time are we running on now?
We are running on. We just hit the hour mark 4 minutes ago.
All right. Well, I think we should close it on that before my boyfriend calls me again. But this was a great episode. This was really fun.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming here for this joint episode of the Red Rundown and Problematic Pop Culture. Problematic Culture was first. I don't know yet if I'm gonna cut out PPC because I don't know how comfortable I feel putting like your content, like your essentially your content on my YouTube channel, in that regard. But we'll talk about it after. But just because it's yours and I want to respect that. But regardless, thank y'all for watching. Actually, you're going to be putting both up on yours, so like yeah. If you guys want to listen to
that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. If you guys want to listen to other episodes of PPC or TRR, or more later when we do it, I'll throw a link down in the description.
Thank you, Evan.
Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you bunches. I apologize. I have a meeting at 4:30 for possibly getting a new client, building a website, maybe getting a little income in my pocket. Thank God. So I'm like multitasking while trying to do this. Life's a disaster at the moment. But thank y'all so much for listening and watching. I will and yes, I'm stuttering. I'm tired. Bye. Bye.
Bye.